So what I think about when I get there at 7 in the morning is I'm practicing. Now, what I'm practicing are the fundamentals of the trumpet. So we're going to put a mouthpiece in. And so I believe that we can basically boil down the fundamentals of the trumpet to 4 things. Anybody have any idea what those 4 things are? You are allowed to speak, please. I know some people may think this is early. I've been up for hours waiting to play. This is difficult to wait this long. Air? Close. No, I'm talking about what makes a trumpet, what do you need to be a great trumpet player? I mean, yes, you need air, but from a fundamental standpoint, what has to come out of this bell? Sound. You need a great sound, right? So let's start. We're going to try and make a great sound. Now, I'll get to why in a second because I have a why for everything. I don't believe in any trumpet voodoo or mysticism. If I have something and I'm giving you something, there's a reason I'm giving you that. So I'm going to start at C in the staff, 3rd space C, which I think in my head as the middle of the horn. So I'm going to start right in the middle. And if you think about C and B, how different are those? Almost nothing. So we're going to play a C half note, re-attack a C half note, and then right to B. I'll play it and then you play me right back to me. right, so that's covered half of the trumpet. Once we get lower than that, we've got pedal tones. So this is the good part. We can play pedal tones, but they're not naturally on the horn. So I figure that's half of the trumpet range. Because when we go the other half, which we're about to do, the most important part. I have a bit of a Diet Coke problem, sorry. We go to the other half. If you think about how the trumpet's built, we have overtone series, right? So as you go higher, the notes get closer together and they overlap. So we have optional fingerings, So you can think of G in the staff, we can play two different ways. We can play open, we can play 1 and 3. Once you go an octave higher than that, G on top of the staff, well, you can play it open, you can play 1 and 3, you can also play 1 and 2, which means you can also play it third. Right, so we start overlapping. So logically speaking, there must be a place on the horn where all the fingerings overlap and your valves essentially become useless. High F sharp. Once you get up to high F sharp, an octave and a half higher. So you start from C, you go to low F sharp, and then you're out of horn, you go to pedal tones. We can play pedal tones, not naturally on horn. You go C up to high F sharp, you can use any fingering you want, which means the valves aren't really helping you all that much. You can play higher than that. I make a lot of my living playing higher than that, but when I figured this out, it screwed me up for a good week. Because I think G is open. And then I think, wait, I could play G first. I could play G third. And then I talk to friends. You guys know Brian. Brian McDonald plays leading the airman of note. He plays his double Cs 1 and 3. And I saw him, we were talking about this. And I said, it's a C, Brian. It's open. And he goes, yeah, but look, ba-wee. And I go, okay, it's 1 and 3. Because I don't know, he seems to have a pretty good handle on them. So we're talking now because we're going to take a break. If you have questions as we go along about what we're doing or anything else, state capitals, sports trivia, sitcoms of the 70s, please let me know. Just ask and I'll do my best to answer. I'll either give you an answer or, where are you from in Texas? Dallas. Oh, that's okay, sorry. I'm from San Antonio. I miss Mexican food because here's what I found out when I left Texas to go to college and go out into the world, that no one else in the world knows how to do Mexican food right, including like Mexico. I don't know what they think they're doing down there. Because you go and I'm thinking this is going to be awesome, but no, Texas, I got to get back. Am I right? Yeah. Of course I'm right, yeah, it's great. All right, so now we're going to go the other direction. The concept of what we're doing here is making a great sound on every note, because essentially if we go from C to B, what's the real difference? Almost nothing. B to B flat's almost nothing. B flat to A is almost nothing. So if you go C all the way to F sharp, what's the real difference? Almost nothing. They're little bitty tiny differences. We get wrapped up in the high register, low register, middle register. When do we have to? I want you to get this concept that what we're doing here will take you from low F sharp up to high F sharp as essentially one register, trumpet register. Right? It's all the same, because if C to C sharp is almost the same and C sharp to D is almost the same, isn't C to D almost the same? D to E flat's the same, E flat to E is the same. You follow the logical extrapolation, yes? You guys aren't morning people. This was the weird part when I found out when I went to college and got out on the road. It's weird to be a musician who's a morning person. I had to apologize to most of my roommates ever on the road because I like to wake up and play. And they're like, dude, I'm sleeping. Yeah. But, practice mute, sports center's on, let's play, in hotel rooms. That's what you do. So, all right. So now we're going to do the same thing in the opposite direction. We're going to start on C and just go up the other way. 3. I know a lot of you. Thank you for sticking with me. I appreciate that. I get a lot of, I tell people this, they'll come in and talk. I say, what do you do? This is by no means, I don't consider this a high note exercise at all. This is how I start, because I'm thinking if I want to make a great sound, I want to make a great sound on every note I'm going to use, and let's cover the whole range of the horn. So like I was saying, when you get to that high F sharp, you know, that's where your valves run out. So, you know, we can work on that register, but then we're talking about something separate. So what I'm covering now is what I think of as the block range of the trumpet, low F sharp to high F sharp. The trumpet works in that register. That's one thing. And that's step one of how to tie it together. For me, everything's about tying the whole horn together in as many different ways and as easy ways and basic ways. Because it's simple. We learned this in math when we were kids, right? If you know A equals B and you know B equals C, what do you know about A and C? Right. So if C and B are, I mean, really, I have people come in all the time and they say, man, I can't play above like, I want to learn how to play high notes. And I say, great, tell me what the first high note is. Which is the first high note? And I have people that answer me, which is even the better part. They'll say, C. Oh, good. Great, here's what I want you to do. Play me a B and raise your second finger. And 10 times out of 10, da. I said, great, now you can play high notes. That'll be $1,000. So this by no means is a range exercise. This is a trumpet exercise. It's not about high notes. It's about the whole range of the trumpet and it's a sound exercise. Because I do hear people who below low C, suddenly they get that tube sound, right? I know I've had that. When I got to college, I still had a little bit. It was not pretty. So you guys want to come in, grab some seats. It's fine. There's plenty left. You're not, just work your way in and find some place to sit. It's fine. So that's a sound exercise. And then I hear people that once they get to that place where it starts getting uncomfortable on top of the staff and it starts getting real, woohoo, got it, you know. So it's about keeping a consistent approach that will give you a consistent result. So I'm thinking, why not just make everything? I'm going to approach every note like it's just like that. Now I've got 2 and 3 parts and 4 parts of just that. I could do an hour just on that. But we've got 3 other fundamentals that we want to take care of. So, but before we get to that, let me just show you what we do next. So then next I would do, I would take from C and then branch out in both directions, the same way we just did. And then I put them together. Right? You just branch your way out. And then everything is based right around C. It's the same approach. You're not doing anything crazy. Because you guys know, you've seen Alva Zudi play live? The first time I saw Alva Zudi play live, I was 16 years old, and I was sitting right about where you are. And it was like a band director conference in Texas. And I literally skipped school to go see this. I had the principal write me a note, benefit of being a good student. I literally went to the principal's office and said, I got to go see this. And he goes, what is this? I explained to him. He goes, okay. Knock yourself out. So I'm sitting there watching this guy play, and I'm listening going, follow me. This is a philosophical statement, and then we're going to get back to fundamentals. I'm watching going, I know what he's playing is hard, but he seems to know what he's playing is easy. I need to know what he knows, you know. So that concept of, for him, it's right there, and he's not moving around, he's not doing a bunch of crazy stuff, and it sounds like $1 million. I'm going, there's something I don't understand yet. So I was 16 and went, I need to figure that stuff out. And so I started working. I'm still thinking about ways to make that easier because I saw him play last summer and still had the same thought of like, he seems to have figured something out, so I'm still working. But that idea of let's make the trumpet register one thing, right? Great sound, every note of the horn. Because I know lots of people do long tones in different ways, and so I'm here just giving you my spiel today. I'm not saying anybody else is wrong and I'm right. I'm saying this is what I do and what works for me. So what I'm saying is I hear people do long tones within 1 octave. And it can be a great start to your day. But I'm thinking, you're going to play more than 1 octave during that day. Let's get every note on the horn feeling as comfortable. Right? Why not be as comfortable on low F sharp as on high F sharp as on C in the staff? Right? So there's one fundamental. What's another one? What's sound? We've made it. Now we've got a great sound. Was there a question? No, scratching. No problem. What's another fundamental? Articulation, certainly. Most of the time, at least the first note we play, you're going to need an attack. Now I've got a whole bunch of things, and generally speaking, I have, and my students will vouch for this, 2 of them just walked in late. Thanks for showing up, guys. I appreciate it. I have my office, I have like those original Bose surround sound on the corners, like drilled in wall mounts on the corners, and I have my metronome hooked up through a stereo, so it can go like talk, 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 the whole room. And most of them just love it when I put that on. Some of them seem to think that there's an error and it rushes. But so generally speaking, a lot of my articulation studies I'll do with the metronome on. We're not going to do that for today because I didn't want to worry about having to worry about technology while we were here. So we're going to take something very simple that all of you should know. Should know. And we're going to find out if you do. Do you know all 12 of your major scales? We're about to find out. So, all we're going to do, it's not that hard to practice articulation. You can do anything to practice articulation. I like the Clark book, and I had somebody say to me once, wow, I'll take Clark number 2. And we'll like single tongue and double tongue, and they're like, Joey, you're a genius. Who would ever think to tongue the Clark book? And I said, well, how did you come up with such a revolutionary concept? It's amazing. And I said, it is. Did you read the little paragraph right above Clark number 2? Mr. Clark wrote us a note. Most people don't read their books, like your trumpet books. They don't read them. Above that, it says, I'm paraphrasing, play 8 to 16 times, start as soft as possible. When comfortable, lightly articulate, and then possibly even double tongue. And I'm like, yeah, I came up with that by reading the instructions. Thank you very much. So, but today we're going to go with, now that's a good shirt right there. See that there, Jacob School of Music. Yeah, I teach at IU. It's my 10th year there. So we're getting ready for the basketball tournament. I'm very pleased because I've heard about the old days when basketball was good, and I was taking some sort of responsibility because since I've been there, my first 2 years were the first 2 years in school history back-to-back. They had not gone to any postseason tournament, and I seriously was worried about my 10-year review because they were coinciding. But things are good now. I'm a huge sports fan, so I'm looking forward to next week. It's going to be awesome. So good work. Nicely done. All right, so we are going to play major scales. And here's what we're looking for. I'm looking for a clear articulation, but not short notes. Sometimes I hear people equate clarity with shortness. You can play clear as a bell and long, and that's what we're looking for. Long doesn't mean gooey, right? So we're just going to take major scales, simple. Just play me this. Come on. Right, simple, right? Let me give you a couple of ideas of other ways you can do this in the morning, because there are a number of ways, although some of us should learn all of those. Right, Peggy? Can be all right? Do I need him? You can come up here and play A flat?
No, it's okay.
You're okay? All right. Okay. There are a number of different ways you go about this. Like I said, you guys all have a Clark book? If you don't have a Clark book, get one while you're here. I think the exhibit's open right when we're done. So head on down and check out all the stuff. Can't wait. Love it. I'm a huge geek of many sorts, trumpet, sports, you know, everything. So yeah, I can't wait to get down and check out all the stuff. I actually snuck in, well, yesterday we kind of went, a couple guys went and checked out some stuff. So it's going to be awesome. We saw the room getting set up. It's going to be great in there. Get a Clark book. Open it up. Put them. Here's the rule. There are several rules. I have rules for everything. If your Clark book is open, your metronome should be turned on. It's a rule. Clark book open, metronome on. Put that metronome where you can play an entire study. Notice we just played all 12 major scales. We didn't just play C and F. We played A flat and D flat, right? Because yet again, like you want to have a good sound on every note, you also want to be just as comfortable in every key. The Clark book is a great resource for this. And if you use you have an Arbin's book. When you turn to page 59 of the Arbin's book is where they start all the scale studies, right? Right? Now, for the C major scale, they've got like 3.5 pages of C scale stuff. And then after that, F has maybe 2, and E flat's got 1. By the time you get to A flat, D flat, and B, Peggy, they've got 1 exercise each. I do not believe it was Mr. Arbin's intent that we do not practice in those keys nearly as much. I think what they said is people are going to understand they should do all of these exercises in all the keys. Just make sure you put all the keys out there so they know. So I don't think when you get to D flat, you play 1 exercise, okay, done. Go back to C, take all of those exercises and put them in every key with your metronome on. Now here's your metronome game. Take this game with you, go home and use this. To open Clark number 1 or Clark number 2, whatever one you want to use, Clark number 3, any of them. They're all great. The whole book's great. Any of the Arbin stuff, it's all great stuff. The material, if you find good material, it's not as important you play exactly what so-and-so plays. It's important is that you take the concept of, I'm practicing making clear articulations. And you put it at a tempo at which you can play your entire study. So you take Clark number 2, slur it once, tongue it once. At whatever tempo, you can play all of them, from number 26 through number 44. That's the whole study, right? If you play all of them, great. Not good, not okay, great. The next day, the metronome goes up, 1 click. So if you do it at like 100, then the next day, it's 101. If you do not nail it at 100, if you screw up a little bit in F sharp or your brain turns off on G, 99 the next day. And then if you nail it at 99, back up to 100. If you don't, 98. This is going to keep you every day you're practicing, not just going through the rote, because what happens in warm-ups and routines is people go through the motions. And as soon as you're going through the motions and you're not concentrating, you are now wasting your time. Right? You need to be practicing, actively practicing so that you are trying to get better. Because here's another rule. You're getting better or you're getting worse. It's very difficult to stay the same. Right? So if you're thinking, oh, you know, I'm maintaining. No. And I've been looking at this since I was actually young. I remember being in my 20s and looking, because I play a lot of lead stuff. And what I noticed as a young guy is I didn't see any lead players in their 50s, not a lot in their 50s and older, not a lot of them. And I got to age 30. And I don't see a lot of lead players in their 50s and up. I'm in my 40s now. I don't know where these guys are going. Or maybe they're choosing to do other things, but I really love doing this. So I'm going, how am I going to do this forever? And then I see guys like Doc Severinsen. And I see guys like Vince DiMartino, right? And I go, what are they doing? Do you know what they're doing? They're practicing all the time. And they're always working on what they can do better, what they can do better. And I go, I might have to practice. So let me just, And I know that sounds silly, but boy, there are a lot of people I see get out of college, and you guys, most of the people in this room are young, high school and college age. You're going to see this, so I'm going to warn you against this. You're going to go to college, and your teachers are going to be on. You got to practice, you got to practice, you got to practice, and you're going to listen, and you're going to practice, and you're going to practice, and you're going to get out, and you're going to be working, and then you're going to think, all right, I'm done. You're not done. You're not done. I'm in my mid-40s, and I'm playing much better than I was in my mid-30s, and much better than I was in my mid-20s, and I was pretty good then, you know. So you got to think this. You got to keep actively practicing, or you will get worse, right? So keep on that. So think about that. Metronome going up or going down. If you nail it, you get to go up one click. If you do not nail it, nail it. Really, completely happy goes down a click. And then you're going to start noticing, and your concentration is going to get good in that practice session because you don't want to have to answer to yourself and go, I have to move down tomorrow. Weak. All right, so we've covered sound. I want to make sure I cover everything. I'm a little bit of a talker, so I could talk an hour on, like, so what's your favorite 70s sitcom? We could talk for an hour on that. We can argue, too. So I was driving the other day, and people were talking about TV moms, best TV moms of all time, and boy, did they have it all wrong. So sound, articulation. We've got 2 more to cover. We've got about 24 minutes, 26 minutes when we can do it. Flexibility. Now, with apologies to the father of the modern lip slur, Scott Belk, who's not here this morning. So, I don't know if you guys, those of you who are not on Facebook, and I imagine most of you are, if you haven't seen the lip slur of the day, you need to. And that's my friend Scott. He's great, chair of jazz studies at Cincinnati. He comes up with stuff, and I go, I never in 100 years would have thought of that, and it's great. And so just as a short advertisement for Scott, who's not asking for this at all, he might be embarrassed I'm bringing this up. People have been saying to him since he's put these up, when are you publishing these? When can I get these? When are these coming out? They're coming out. He is publishing them. The first volume is hopefully going to be out before ITG. So keep your eyes out. They're coming. I have a much more fundamental approach. I want to tie the whole horn together. Here's what I notice in most lip slur books, and I use all of them, and I like all of them. Generally speaking, you start in the middle, you slur up, you slur down. You're done. But in music, sometimes you have to start on the low note or start on the high note. So I want to break the horn down into 3-note chunks. We're going to play these 3-note chunks, and then we're going to start tying them together, right? So we're going to go 3 notes, we're going to go low to high to low, and then high to low to high. So we're going to start on the high note and start on the low note, as well as starting on every single note on the horn, with the idea of tying the entire horn together. It makes more sense when we start playing. So play what I play and follow me around. Making sense so far, right? Now we pick up where we left off. We're going to add more chunks, more 3-note chunks. Then we tie them back together and pull the horn, put the whole horn together this way, right? Simple. I showed this to people, and I kind of looked at it and went, duh. And most people look at it and go, that makes sense. I said, yeah. Ever seen it before? Me neither. So I kind of went, it occurred to me, I'm like, why don't we do it this way? So I wrote it out. So we just keep going. One, two. No, it's 2 and 3. Right. stop here. It starts getting really squirrely after this because everything's a whole step apart. And in a big room like this might get weird. But there are 2 more versions of this just as we keep going because I do everything I do over the entire range of the horn. So then we would go, where are we? And then we go back, right? You know, and then we tie those together. And then we add the ones above that, and then it gets even weirder and they're hard. So the tuning gets really awkward, and in a room like this, it's going to be, am I doing this right or just hurting myself? So we might stop right there. If you have more questions, come talk to me about them later. But eventually that gets you, so you want to have that kind of, you know, ease of getting around the horn. You want to be able to access all of the horn at any time, right? Because that's what flexibility means to me. Because flexibility to most people, they go like, what does that mean? Lip slurs, I guess. No, yes and no, certainly, but flexibility means, here's what it means to me. Take this with you. The ability to move from one note to any other note. From any one note to any other note easily. Whether you're tonguing or slurring, that's flexibility. So, because I think it's just, if you're going to do octaves, you know. That's the same flexibility, as long as you're not using your tongue to place the note, which is bad. Don't do it. It's not your tongue's job. What's your tongue's job? We didn't talk about this when I talked articulation.
Interrupt the air.
Oh my gosh, that's its job to interrupt air? I don't think so. It may do that, but I don't think that's its job. Like, as you're playing trumpet, what's the tongue's job? What does that mean? To give a clear beginning to a note. Yeah, articulation. Yeah, attack the note, attack the note, attack the note. You know, I know. See, you're in uniform, you're ready to attack stuff, right? Yeah, the idea, the attack is to give a clear beginning to your note. That's it. You don't need your tongue to play trumpet, right? I didn't tongue any of those. So you don't have to tongue the note. You would choose to because the music calls for it, or you can call for it at any time. So make sure you're not using that tongue to put that note in its place, that whole like, got it, woohoo! You know, this happens a lot in the upper register. Woohoo, high C! You know, it's like, you know, like I'm going to use that tongue to kind of boom, which is why on the very first thing we did, that second attack on the same note, that's there. So as you go, especially below low C and above high C, to make sure that tongue can still make a nice clear attack without stopping. Because sometimes I have students that come in and they're like, no, it's not going to work, right? So your tongue's job is just give a clear beginning. That's it. So flexibility includes tonguing, right? Flexibility isn't just slur. The ability to move from one note to any other note in any way that you would need. That's flexibility. Make sense? We have questions. We're going to get one more fundamental, but like I said, I can talk for an hour on just about anything. So, and as the basketball tournament gets closer, watch some highlights this morning. I'm getting antsy. And I took a gig next week, which I'm really excited about, but next Thursday I think should be a national holiday. Because it's the first day of the tournament and there are going to be 16 basketball games that day starting at about noon. And I would like to watch all of them, and I'm going to be in a double rehearsal. Doing something really, really fun, but I am going to be going, no, I will concentrate. So, I will not have my iPad out on the stand watching March Madness. I can't next week. Next week's gig is going to be fun, but it's hard. So what we've done sound. We've made a great sound on every note of the horn, right? We have got clear articulations over the entire range of the horn. We have gotten flexible by covering from top to bottom and bottom to top the entire range of the horn. We have one fundamental left. What is it? No, we had to breathe the whole time. You have to breathe to stay alive. This is the good part. I think of this sort of like, I think, solar energy. It seems amazing to me that we've developed at some point in human history, we thought, we need power, let's dig. And instead of going, we need power, ball of fire in sky. Because essentially once the sun goes out, we're all dead anyway. Let's just use that. So as soon as you stop breathing, you're dead. So you're going to be breathing all the time. And we have to talk about your A flat major scale before you leave. So we know each other, we go way back. But she's going to have to play an A flat major scale before I let her leave this room. And I'm going to tell Amy, you're in trouble. So we have one more. We've got a great sound. Well, you need a great sound to play the trumpet, right? Because there are plenty of people who play great music and the delivery package is not pretty. I will demonstrate. They tell you as education people never to demonstrate the negative, but I find it really funny. So imagine this. How many notes did I miss? All of them's a good answer. All of them's a good answer. I didn't actually miss any notes. I played relatively, for the sound I was making, relatively in tune. I played them in the right order with good time. Does anybody want to hear that performance? No, because the sound is abysmal. So you got to have a great sound, right? So you got to have great flexibility. You got to have great attacks. What else do you need? Come on, people. It's right in front of your face. Fingers! You need facility. You need your fingers to move. Now again, we can go to all of the books we all love, and I use all of them. I play a lot of the Clarks every day. We're going to make that even simpler today. We're going to play chromatic, one-octave chromatic scales. That's what we're going to do. We're going to start at C. We're going to go down and up until we get to the bottom, and then we're going to go F sharp. We're going to go up and down. We're going to vary the tempo, so I want you to stay with me. So you guys ready? We have questions, or you guys getting tired of me and ready to go see Trumpet Geek stuff? But see, now you're going to be well prepared. Let me do it just before we do that. And listen, I've made most of my living playing lead trumpet in big bands, although I like to do everything on trumpet. I love playing everything that there is. I have noticed, especially at festivals such as this, that there seems to be a way people like to try out horns. And I'm going to be in there and I'm going to be trying out some horns. Here's what I've noticed. Here's the approach. Take the horn, look at it. Pretty. Put your mouthpiece in. Empty the spit. And you got one of those cool Saturn keys. You can go click. It's nice. And then attempt to play the highest note you can possibly play. Fail, and then go. Interesting. So here's my brief plea to the trumpet world. When you go try out a horn, try this. Try the first thing you do when you put that horn in. What did I say the middle of the trumpet is? C. That's what I believe. You can believe whatever you want. I think I made a fairly good case for C. So, pull that horn out. See if you can play a C on it and what that feels like and sounds like to you. Because I've tried several horns, and boy, there are a lot of instrument manufacturers in there, and boy, a lot of them make, I haven't seen anybody that makes terrible stuff. They make good stuff. A lot of the time, the horn you're picking is not because it's the best thing in the world, it's because that's what feels good. That's what gets the sound you want to come out. So there's my brief plea on how to try out a trumpet. Because if I see anybody in this room, and I'm going to try to remember all your faces, I'm terrible with names. So if we've met before and you came up, I'm sorry, it's me, it's not you. I just can't remember names. So if I watch and I see the whole, what's wrong with this horn? I will come and say, we had this talk. All right? And here's the thing. You can mock others who do this. It's perfectly okay. You have my permission to go. All right, so now we're going to play chromatics. Get those fingers out, get those fingers going. We're going to start at C, because you got to have great fingers, and then you're going to be perfectly ready to go try stuff out and have fun. Right? Take it something that simple. Chromatics and octave, put the metronome on. When you play them all great, they go up one. When you don't, they go down one. See, today I go down one. So then take that, take any of the Clarks, take anything other, any of those books. It's not so much, if you get good information, it doesn't have to be the same thing every day. It has to be the same concept every day. Every day you need to practice making a great sound, the entire range of the horn. Playing with great articulations over the whole range of the horn. Great flexibility, whole range of the horn. Great facility, fingers over the whole range of the horn. You do this every morning. You start your day with this every morning as your warm-up, your routine, your practice of fundamentals. Take a break. That's when I start answering email and turning in forms that we're supposed to do when we teach, right? Andrew, we have paperwork we have to take care of. So, and then I start teaching, and then once I kick my students out at the end of the day, then I come back and balance this. This is the last thing I'll say because then we got to go. Then make sure, there are lots of trumpet players, this is all they do. They're trumpet weightlifters, right? They practice how to play the trumpet. And you have to practice how to play the trumpet. It's important. Why is it important? So you can play music. So what happens is you do all of this, and now when I go to practice music at the end of the day, I'm not going, oh, I really wish I could finger that. I'm going, how do I want to sound? I can start making musical decisions, not trumpet decisions. Well, I can only do this, so I'll have to do, I can go, how do I want this to go? All right, I can do that, right? So you have to balance this with making sure you're practicing music as well. You got to do both. Today we're focused on the warm-up, so we're focused on fundamentals. Other people are going to talk about other stuff later, so make sure you listen. There's a balance. You must practice how and you must practice what. How to play the trumpet so that you can play music and play it well. Then technique doesn't get in your way. Does that make sense? Do we have questions? Okay, thanks for coming this morning. Had a great time. Enjoy the rest of the festival.